Live from the apocalypse, wriggling from the ooze. This is State of the Game. I am your luscious host, Dan O. You know what I mean? Delicious. Anyway, uh, I am here as every week, um, joined uh, by an incredible person. You know, a pioneer uh, in the uh, pioneer in being himself. We're talking about Kay Diggy. Thank you
I
for
was I was prepared for what direction I was going to go in, but yes, thank you.
you thought I was
Oh,
a pioneer in stealing wooden legs from whatever. No, I'm not gonna do like, but yes, thank you. This is it's awesome to be here. It's awesome to have people. Kay, at work, there's a country music lady at work, right?
Uh-huh.
And she was like, she likes me, so she looked up this thing and she listened to this thing, and
Uh-huh.
she's like, I don't know anybody on there, but it was a great time because you just get to know the people, you know. And I was like, that's the fucking coolest compliment we get. That like you can just tune in and hang out
Uh-huh.
with us, and you'll be like, that homeboy Sandman's a nice kid, you know.
I kind of like that guy.
Right. So that's awesome, and we got some nice kids with us today. Uh, so we have like I this is a group TFK, right? This is a collective. And here's my sales pitch. I view TFK as the 2006 Phoenix Suns.
mm.
7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have the we don't have the Steve Nash. The Steve Nash of it, Flue, who's the producer, Melbourne,
Mm-hmm.
Australia. He's working a shift right now. He's pretending that he's working, but not really working. You know how that is. But he'll pop in. He'll pop in on a break. But he's the Steve Nash. He's moving the ball. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we have Sankofa, who, like me, would be an excellent side character in a Coen Brothers movie. Uh,
Thank you.
so he is the Amari Stoudemire of the situation, right?
Uh-huh.
You pass it inside, it's going in the hoop, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's takes care of that. And the Sean Marion of it,
Oh, yes. Yes.
we're talking about doing a little bit of everything.
Plus the ugly three-point shot.
Yes.
Oh God.
Tali Rodriguez. That was an
It
incredible shot. It worked though. Somehow it worked.
did. It did.
Good in front of him.
I thought you were gonna say Leandro Barbosa, which I would have took, but
Yeah, they had fun players. That team was fun.
I was kind of hoping I'd be Richard Dumas, but
that's like 90s.
Yep. Somebody wanted Boris Diaw. We got to give somebody.
Yeah, man.
ooh, man.
Somebody.
I can't even remember where I referenced Boris Diaw, but you know that whole like him sipping the cappuccino or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you read? Yeah, that one.
What was that?
All right, so like the Spurs are doing their physicals or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got that vertical thing where like you jump up and try to hit the bars.
Yeah.
And Boris Diaw's in like his slippers or whatever, and he's sipping his cappuccino, and he says, "What is that thing?" And they're like, "Oh, it's when you do this." So he puts down his cappuccino, hops out of his slippers, jumps up, and like sets a Spurs record for how high he can jump. And then he puts his slippers back on,
Awesome.
gets his little cup of cappuccino or whatever, and just saunters off.
That's the
the French are built different, man. I love it.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Alleged.
I had to
Different.
reference it in the song, but don't ask me which one.
Alleged. He was like a freak athlete, really old in his career. He was like mid-30s, still a freak athlete, just that guy. Yeah, shout out to that team. But yeah, TFK has that kind of durability, and I am excited to talk to you about it, especially amongst all the other things, because Kofa, you're having a hell of a year.
Yeah, it's fun.
How many releases so far is it? Or where are you at?
Let's see. I think I had Multitudes first,
Yep. Yep.
and then geez, was it Iron Kofa Sharp?
Yep. Iron Kofa Sharp. Second.
And Black Ketchup 3 is about to drop. Like the
Mhm.
pre-orders already started or whatever,
Yep.
and then that drops on the
15th.
15th. It's like
Yeah.
15th of
Next week.
September. Yeah, thank you for that because there's so many things I'm juggling. I'm like, I don't know because I got like 8 other things.
Yep.
Was the basketball card one this year, or was that last year?
The basketball card one was last year, the Sonny Vaccaro years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to the Sneaker Savant for that.
It really does. And I don't know, like we've talked about proficiency in putting out music and what the right thing is. There's no right answer, right?
Right.
Some people put out a lot of projects and it's too damn much.
Mhm.
But some people put out a lot of projects and it helps you get to know them. Like it gets you acquainted with them because they're different. The different projects are different, lanes.
Right.
You get to see different sides of them. So that definitely feels like what's going on with you. Are you feeling like more interest than before? Is this because it looks like you're having a great year from afar?
I'm just having fun. I mean, honestly, for the past 2-3 years, I've just been in a state of constant inspiration. And the only limits to me are time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the more I work, the more opportunities I have to work with ridiculously talented people, such as Tali, who then enables me to work with Flue on this project. And like I develop an awareness of other people, and I'm like, hey, you're dope. And they're like, hey, you're dope. And they're like, let's do something together. And I'll say, okay. And then I add it to my list of 30-something projects.
Yeah. I've caught people who are like, you said, like, this, you're dope. And like later on in a chat somewhere, they're like, Sankofa said it was dope. Like it means something when you give someone signs of approval because you've been at this for a while,
Yeah.
and you are, undeniably talented at what you do. So your stamp means something,
Well, I mean, if I can inspire someone or be inspired by someone, I mean, that's powerful. And that, like, one of the huge things, like Tali and I don't even remember how we connected, but I'm glad that we connected because we've had conversations far beyond any music stuff. And we share very similar viewpoints in so many things, including, fans of hooping or whatever. But like to be able to have all these relationships and develop all these friendships with people just from rap, like I never would have pictured this, man. This is like when I moved from Australia to the United States in '88, like skateboarding was my passport. That's how I made my friends. And those guys are still my friends. And now with rap, I just keep making more friends and we keep making more dope stuff, which is exactly why we're here, because we're celebrating the opportunity. And if someone's dope, why would I not tell them they're dope? It's not like it's going to take away from me. It's not going to hurt me.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's an exchange, right? And that's always the power of it, like I wasn't good in the spoken word scene, right?
Right.
I wasn't selfish enough. I was people were always getting on stage like me and Dano had this crazy conversation and I wrote this poem because of it. And I was like, good shit. And my wife was like, dude, you should have collaborated on that. You should have like taken your spot. I was like, it's fine. I'm glad he did his work. Like, I just didn't care. I was happy to be around people and happy to be, pushing people, Yeah. There was a guy once, he was so nervous. Every time he got on stage, I remember after he got off stage, everybody's nice to everybody anyway. And I was like, no. I was like, you're so fucking nervous up there. You need to just write a poem about your dick. And just fucking do it. Just loosen the fuck up. And he wrote a poem about his dick, and it was one of his best poems. And it was
I'm sure.
And it was like, like fucking stand on there and be like, this is a vulnerable place. You're gonna have to embrace it. Yeah. So I love that connectivity and the community, and you understand the value of the community in a way that I think Few people do. Yeah. So but your year is crazy, and if people haven't bought it, they should track it, right? Multitudes is wild because I feel like every kind of Sankofa song is on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed.
That is like your sampler
Second.
pack of Sankofa.
Yeah,
What is
that
it?
is like I know too much. Like my old rule was I tried to work with one producer on a project, and then my problem is that I started knowing so many dope people. I get all these beats from all these people, and I can't possibly work on a project with each of them. So I'm like, okay, I made these rules. I can break the rules now, and I'm going to break the rule and say this is going to be a project where I have one beat from each producer.
Yeah.
And I'll just go wherever the music tells me. And
Yeah.
Multitudes was a great opportunity, which is why there'll be another one next year, and hopefully just continue on.
Yeah, no, it's like Humpty Dumpty Potato Chips has a flavor that is called All Dressed, where they
Okay.
put fucking everything in it.
Mhm.
And Multitudes Volume 1 is your All Dressed.
Humpty Dumpty Potato Chips, all dressed.
Yep.
Sounds like a Action Bronson lyric. I might have to write that one down.
But it's Roberto Alomar is one of my favorite songs you've released this year.
That producer, 8 Greg too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm working on 2 projects with him right now.
That beat is fucking nasty. I love that.
Oh, he is so dope, but he's one of those people who's a perfectionist.
Mhm.
And I'm like, dude, before you delete whatever you do, just stretch it out to like 3-4 minutes and give it to me. Forget you gave it to me and delete it off your machine because, dude, I gotta rock these beats.
Yeah.
And you know, after like 2 years of pestering him, like he's doing it. So we're working on it. I'm super stoked about that. Yeah, 8 Greg 2 is crazily dope.
That's awesome. And the Blacked Chip like series is in my opinion the calling card series for somebody. If somebody was like, I need Sankofa, where do I start? I'd be like, run through these. Run through Black Chip. Because I think that is like, I mean, it's just a different level, you know?
Yeah. Those that's my Slayer as a rap fan, MC, Seasons in the Abyss type stuff. Or as you said, Danzig.
Yep.
You know, tapping into that vein of anger and frustration.
Yeah.
Plus, shout out to PhD Beats because when we did the first one, like when I was getting done with the first one, he's like, we need to do the next one. And we got to do one of these each year. And so shout out to him because I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. No, we got and vocally the Black Chip series is your like Chuck D chamber, you know, where that anger comes through righteous.
Yeah.
It's real dope. Yeah. But I want to bring Tali in here. Talk to me about how a TFK came together.
All right. So I had done something. I'd mixed something for Flue and my buddy G Fam Black, who's on the new one, and they did their own project called Starvin' Haggler, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's the first time that I had really, I knew who Flue was. I'd heard of the name. I'd seen the stuff around, but I didn't really know him. G-Fam got him to let me mix it because he usually has his own guy that does it, but G is also a little bit picky about who does his stuff. And so it worked. And so I did it, and he sent me, the first time I opened up one of his things, it was like 42 wave stems of like every single part of the beat completely separated. Usually if somebody sends you anything that's not just a straight up beat already mixed down, it might be like 4. It's like a drum and a bass line and the sample and here's the flute or something like that. He sent like every single thing, every single different drum element, everything. So I had like this 42 track beat. He's like, I'm like, okay, so do you just want me to do it how it is now? He's like, well, no, just make it sound good or whatever. So I'm like, awesome. So it was actually really cool. It's the first time I got to do it that way. And it sounded good and he liked the way it sounded. So that comes out, that does good. And I don't talk to him for a little bit. And then he comes some days like, hey, what do you charge for this? No. I'm like, I don't know. What do you got in mind? And so he starts telling me he's got these couple different projects. And so I start doing some singles for him. Then sometime we had some kind of conversation about just kind of the stuff he was doing, and I don't want to get too detailed because I don't want to like hurt anybody else's feelings, but he wanted to do something different. But I didn't say anything at the time. It's just sort of stuck in my head. And so I'm like, I asked Sankofa one day, I'm like, if I could get Flue to like throw some beats somehow, some way, would you want to do some kind of project like that? And he's like, yeah, sure. Like pretty much that. Sure. And so I went back to him. I went back to Flue and I'm like, so what do you think about this? What do you think? Like, you want to do something a little bit different? Because like, you know, me and my buddy, this guy over here, he's from Australia too, by the way. I used every, you know, tactic I could come up with and, you know, just butter him up. And my wife's from Australia. So, you know, anything I can do to.
Anything to bring him in. Yeah.
And he's like, and it was actually surprisingly easy. He's like, yeah. And so we came up with an arrangement. I was going to mix them, just keep mixing more sort of stuff whenever it came up. And he was going to make us a bunch of stuff. And what was it, about a month later, he sent a folder with 24 or 30 sort of starter beats. He kind of starts and just gives you the bare bones of it, and then he'll build around it later. And that was that, right? But we didn't have any kind of plan for what anything was going to be. It was just like, pick some of these and we'll see where it goes. And so that's how it came about, but that doesn't really explain anything else beyond that. I'll let you ask another question, but that's how it came about.
Yeah, I mean, that's the connections. It's understandable, but like that's forming a collective like this. I was thinking about how rare it is, you know, like there's, if you see groups, they're not really groups. They're just doing a collab album, you know, and then it's two people doing a collab album. But this is a real force of three people coming together. That means you have to share space. What you're doing, like, how was that worked out? Was that, were there meetings? Were there like conference calls? Like, you know what? Like, I got this in mind, you know.
Well, if I may,
yep.
And I'll try to keep this relatively short because I know I just go on and on. Anyway, I work pretty fast, right? When I'm feeling it, I believe in being in that moment and rolling with it, right? So I'm listening to the beat. I come up with, you know, my verse, record it, send it over, and then Tali has this question for me. He's like, "Hey, with the stuff you've recorded," and he introduced this early on. Go ahead.
Let me just interject. You wrote the whole, like, 9 songs. So it wasn't like he wrote one song and then sent it. 9. So go ahead, continue.
All right. So I wrote and recorded my share of 9 songs. But one of the things that he had said early on was that if I could get him, and this is something that I'd never encountered in a collaboration, which is dope because that's why we collaborate, to do new things, is he's like, "Hey, can you get me a synopsis of each of your verses? Can you write like a sentence or 2 or 3, and just like where it is?" And I'd never, like, I'm used to creating things. I'm not used to reflecting upon my work.
Right.
So I was listening to it. I was reading the lyrics like, oh, there's this and there's this. And the more that I was writing these, what is it? Synopses? Is that the plural form? All right. The more I was writing these synopses, the more I realized there was an underlying theme. And that's when I was like, wait, did I just accidentally start a concept album?
Yeah.
And then because of that, we could then take the direction with the other songs. Because there's a song, Papillon, with John Doe. And John Doe, much like myself, he works super fast. So he already had his verse written before we were like, wait, Eureka, concept album. So, you know, I've worked with him almost 30 years now. Dude, super dope, understandable, understanding. And he's like, yep. And so he went back and rewrote his to fit the concept. And so, you know, shout out to John Doe and shout out to Tali for asking me to write these and reflect upon what I'd made, a practice I'm not used to.
Yeah.
Which then was the backbone so that he could understand where I was coming from, because I don't always communicate in the most clear manner, especially in song. And so for him to be able to take that, bounce off that, and then reach out to various other friends to be like, okay, we want to focus on this thing, this mood, this theme here for each of these tracks. So we didn't have conference calls. We had a lot of ball busting back and forth on IG DMs,
Sure.
which is hilarious. And I'll stop talking now because I'm hogging the mic.
I'll just say, like, it wasn't even so I'm very literal
Mm.
for whatever reason, and so I remember him saying, it's like, I'm reading through the stuff and I'm listening to some of the stuff. I'm like, these are great, and I'm picking bits and pieces of it, but I have trouble until I can. I don't know, for some reason I need to get like a thing. So I'm just give me one sentence. It was really just one sentence, but it wasn't really even a sentence. So like, I don't know, pick a song. Like
Right.
just give me the name of a song you like, and I'll tell you what the sentence was. I can't hear you.
T-Pink.
Okay, so that was Tag originally, the beat Tag, and his instructions essentially is how I took it. Not that that's how you meant it, but this I'm taking it as like, okay, where am I going with this? Was Raz Kaz visiting the Salvador Dali Museum, a different song's dream continued, basically, and that's it. So I'm putting myself into frame of mind. Okay, Raz Kaz, Salvador Dali Museum, and then Santor, which was supposed to be a fever dream hosted by Rod Serling live from the asylum. That's the sentence, right? And so I wrote, and that's how.
Dude, you asked for it.
Yeah. And so this is literally what we're doing, you know. So like he writes the verse, but then he thinks about what he's written, and then he sends me this one sentence thing, and it helps me synthesize it, and then I can use my literalness in a way to approach it from like a different perspective, but hitting in the same place. Like we end up in the same place, but just in a different way on I think every song pretty much, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
we got those for all the songs. They're pretty funny.
That's great. No, I'm happy for you, Kofa. I because I think like I obviously dealt with a lot of people in the creative scene who were just not into editing, really. They were more into the creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
The creation is the joy. But like I would always kind of work with them and be like, no, the editing's where you find out what it really is about.
Yeah, truly.
And those sentences helped you like distill what this is and look at it and go, what does all this actually mean? And that added more to it. And so I'm so glad. Yeah, we remember, Kay, we interviewed Psalm 1 and she was like, I edit way more and way harder now because I wrote my autobiography. Like, and like, so, and that's someone who's been rapping for 100 million years. You can always keep learning, like,
oh, absolutely,
adapt your process and how to add more to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tali, how would you say, like, I'm guessing that you've never written under that kind of context where, you know, someone has kind of given you like a lead sentence, I guess.
No.
How did that affect your writing, would you say?
It helped a lot because I mean, I started off writing and rapping or whatever ages ago, and then kind of got into the other stuff for a myriad of reasons that aren't all that interesting. But I ask anybody who knows me that works with me and I mix their stuff, like they're always trying to get me on things, and I'm really reticent to do it because I find writing to be this crazy chore. Like it's really difficult, but it never was originally. It just became that for some reason, or I got in my own head. And so part of the reason why I asked him, I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, if he had just told me, hey, this is the topic of the song, it wouldn't have worked for me. It wouldn't have done the same thing for me. But like by just having him like give me something real vague, it let me kind of tap back into a part of my brain and my thought process that it's like, oh, you can take this somewhere, you can do a story, you can do a short narrative on this, you can do that. It doesn't just have to be like, I don't know, like one very specific approach or like the topic and just beat the topic to death or whatever. You can you can hit on it a little bit here and then a little bit here and a little bit there in the same verse, and all of a sudden you're done and you wish you had more time, something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's not that I would have needed that, but I don't think this would have came out as good if I didn't have those sentences to start from, just because I was not in any kind of writing form at that point. Now I'm writing a bunch. I would say largely because of this. And so I don't know if that even answers the question, but
well, I think it does. Like you, even if the sentence is, this is a dizzying bunch of madness, like it's good to know that and put yourself in that place. Yep. The man down under is logging in.
Ooh, he's got 10 minutes. We better find him the good ones.
It's probably in the outhouse.
10 minutes. Boom.
Hey, sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Hey,
No problem.
good to have you here, man.
Flue is here.
Hey,
Appreciate
he's all doing.
Good.
Good, man.
things are
Can,
good.
can you hear me all right? It's windy
Yep.
as fuck, so I thought I'd bring the headphone mic out. I don't know if it's going to work, but
You're doing great. You're
yeah.
It's working great,
we can
man.
hear
You
you.
sound good.
Yeah.
Well, for
okay,
you.
cool.
Wind
Cool.
rippling through your hair. You're doing good. So we're talking TFK. We're talking about the approach with bringing this all together. They told the stories about the synopsis of the lyrics, and how did you view the album coming together from you originally providing the beats to what happened by the end?
To be honest, like I think Tali hit me up because we'd sort of chatted back and forth in regards to a G-Fam Black album I'd produced. And he just seemed like a really cool dude and reached out about producing something. And at the time, I was like, not too familiar with what he does, nor really what Sankofa had done. So I checked a bit of stuff, and yeah, I was really digging it, and I was like, sure, let's do it. And it's funny, I send like really rough snippets, like which doesn't work well for a lot of MCs. A lot of MCs are like, this doesn't sound like your other stuff. Like, I want that stuff. I'm like, they all start off sounding this rough. I just haven't done all the other stuff to it yet. So the ones they picked them pretty quickly, and I was kind of like, oh, okay. You know, that was pretty quick, but they had their vision. It made my job a lot easier too, that they allowed me to do what I do, because I found a lot of MCs get like what we call like demo-itis, where they record over a really rough version that you send, and then they just keep listening to it over and over because they love to listen to their own shit so much that when you start doing your stuff to it, they're like, oh, no, bring it back to like these, terrible demo versions. So I made that known to Tali that, you're probably going to hear some like different shit done to it, and Kofa also. And they were cool. They're like, no, do your thing. That's why we're working with you. Because like I changed up a lot of stuff. There was like all kinds of different things I'd added, post-production or whatever. And they were cool with it. So that also made it fun. So I was able to just kick back, allow them to do them, and they allowed me to do me. So it was actually a really good mix, man. It ended up being a really fun project to do.
Yeah. The album's called 1159 TFK. And when is it going to get a proper release? Do you know a date? Does everybody know a date?
I think sorry, but I was going to say, I think Kofa kind of takes the reins when it comes to organizing all that sort of stuff, because I'm terrible. Like I suck at all that stuff, and he seems pretty onto it with all that sort of stuff. So yeah, maybe ask Kofa when it comes to that sort of stuff,
Okay, we have a limited time with you, so I want to ask you one thing, sir.
Yeah.
You did the Scumbag project with Young Z, right? And
yes.
It was fantastic. And when are we going to get a Raw Digga album, and can you produce one for me?
Man, that would be great.
Shit.
Like, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. But unfortunately, I've had very brief interactions with Raw Digga with that one song, that she's on. It was very brief. It was a couple of Instagram messages. So I don't know. I'd love to do it, but I don't know if that's a reality. But you never know, man. You never know. Z actually hit me up 2 days ago for some beats. He's like, let's work again, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, you never know. I could use that as a way into maybe getting him to give me Raw Digga's information or something, more direct info. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you that is outside of TFK is you and Wally Clark released Goon. And I think I had heard somewhere that you guys have been working on that since you were 12 years old. Is that accurate?
Yeah, like Wally's Wally likes what he likes. I like what I like. So he's a great dude, great MC, super underrated. I've got a lot of time and a lot of love for Wally. But yeah, we did butt heads a little bit in the process, you know. Full respect to Wally though. We had our disagreements. It took some time. I walked away from it for a while. He walked away from it. And then in the end though, we we made it happen. And it's got some of my favorite production. I reckon it's super slept on. I reckon it's criminal. Not because of my beats being on there. I literally mean him as an artist. It's crazy how he doesn't get more love. I'm not sure what it is. He's like me when it comes to self promo, not the best at it. You know, but I truly believe that he deserves a lot more shine, a lot more love. And some of my favorite beats I've ever done are on that album. So it was worth the back and forth and the butting of heads and all that sort of stuff, you know. So because in the end it came out pretty crazy, I thought.
That is like it like Wally has a great catalog, and like that is the darkest of the dark. That is like real
man,
dark chocolate, you know, Wally Clark situation.
Yeah, I don't know what my problem is, man. I just love dark beats, man. Like I just gravitate towards minor chords, samples all in minor chords and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just love the dark stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff that evokes, just the grittiness of you know what we have inside us. You know, so yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and it seems like you did that here. And so, do you have? Okay, let me ask you, Flue, your favorite song. Like for a Tali Rodriguez performance, your favorite song for a Sankofa performance?
So unfortunately, I don't know the song. I'm terrible with remembering things, but my favorite performance I've heard from Kofa was the one that he's posted up with the illustrated, with the cartoon sinking clip. I think it's off one of his more recent ones. Kofa, help me out here, man. What's the name of that song?
Deserology. Is it the Gargamel one?
Yes, yeah, Gargamel from Smurfs and shit.
From
Yeah,
Smurfs.
that was crazy. And my favorite Tali stuff is off TFK actually. Again, I don't even remember the names of my own songs, man. On this album, but it's
Ask Worthy.
Yes. Thank you. See, Kofa's onto this, man. Kofa's like, you know what I mean? Like he's the what do they say? Something that holds it together or whatever, you know? That's Kofa on that shit. So they're my two performances. But that said, like they smash every track on TFK anyway. This is more just if you had to put me on the spot, you know. But I'd say they're my favorite performances thus far, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was impressed with Sankofa on TFK because, like I said, Kofa has the big voice. You missed the comparison. I compared TFK to the 2006 Phoenix Suns, and
okay,
you were Steve Nash, and Kofa was Ari Stoudemire, and
right,
John Marion, and so I think that is which makes. Could we give John Doe Boris Dio? I think John Doe's a good Boris Dio.
Good pick.
I don't remember the whole roster. I wish I could. But...
Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
Let's do it. But I think like the thing that I was so impressed with Kofa, he has a giant voice, takes up a lot of space. On this project, his hooks are incredible. Like his hooks are so good, and he leaves space for Tali to come in and kill it. And I was very impressed with how tactful he was with inside these songs, giving everybody space, you know?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry,
go
ahead, man.
I was gonna say, I mean, just remind me. All the people in my crew think I am John Doe, and thinks John Doe is me because they think we sound similar. Yeah. And so, yeah, like John Doe did like a third of one of the hooks on the album, and I did the rest of them. So whatever you thought John Doe was probably me.
Okay.
But you won't be the first person to have made that mistake because my entire everybody who actually does music with me is like, yeah, you sound just like that guy. That's
awesome. Yeah. No, my favorite Tali moment was C Pink. Was definitely C Pink.
How would you describe the chemistry of TFK? Like, how do you how would you
Oh,
guys
shit,
say
there's
that
another
you guys?
person in here.
Yeah.
Hey man, how you doing? I didn't even know there was another person in here. I was like, whose voice is that? Like, that tripped me out. How you doing, man? How are you?
Yep.
Good. Yeah.
Hey,
So
Ziggy.
like,
Ziggy.
give like a brief description of like how do you think the chemistry works in TFK?
Man, these dudes, like, literally were the easiest, nicest, most down-to-earth dudes I've ever worked with. And, like, I'm not just saying that because we're doing an interview. Like, just getting to know them a bit more as much as you can, you know, via Instagram messaging and whatever. The whole thing was, like, the vibe was great from the get-go. There was no butting of heads at all. They were completely down-to-earth. Like I said earlier, trusted me to do me. I trusted them to do them. Once I started getting a few of the verses back in the songs, I was like, yeah, this is dope. Like, I was like, this is a vibe. This is going to be a great album. And like, I think we end up doing 11 joints. So it's like the longest thing I've produced for someone outside of Australia before, you know, like an artist out of here. So yeah, I'd definitely say the vibe has been great. And I'd work with them in a heartbeat going forward again because they're really awesome to work with.
I was gonna say, did hearing their verses, did that change some of your production decisions or the directions that you went in terms of the songs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like just the way they came through with their own like topics and stuff, and like they're definitely, I guess, how do I put this? I've worked with a lot of like coke rappers, you know, so coke dealing type story rappers. So it actually took me a second to get my head around just straight up bars and hip hop and stories again, you know, because I've gotten so used to bumping that coke rap for the last 10 years or so. And I was like, man, these dudes are actually really, really great, like lyricists, like songwriters, like, you know, they'll just coming up and saying even certain words. I was messaging Kofa, like, what the fuck does this mean? You know what I mean? So it also made me like more sort of know when to add a little bit of extra rolls with the drums or when to pull back a bit to really get those more intense bits heard, you know, so they're not battling me and stuff, so to speak. So yeah, definitely added to some of the post-production direction for sure. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And it seems like the chemistry with TFK was like, as you were describing, Flue, was like centered around durability, that everybody really was open to moving into whatever space they had to move into to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's also just like, I don't know, I can't stress enough just how much of a pleasure it was. Like even just the business side or the artwork or just like all of it. Like it was just like they made it happen. They get it done. They're open to ideas. There was no like back and forth. There was no like, because sometimes I might be tripping, but sometimes I might find some MCs might be like, oh, who's this guy from Australia trying to say we should do this or do that, which is fine. I get it. But it's like, there was nothing. It was just, I don't really have one like, you know, weird moment with them at all throughout the whole process. And that's never happened to me before. You know, there's always a couple of moments where you kind of argue, and even me and Z had a big argument about drums once, like, you know, it happens. So it was like, this was literally like, yeah, a pleasure to work with these two gentlemen, you know. So like I said, I can't stress enough that I wish more MCs were just like this, open to actual collaboration, you know.
I'm with you. Kay, how much cocaine should be in the follow-up album? Do you want? How much cocaine do you want?
I'll leave that up for you guys to decide.
A tasteful amount of cocaine? Can we do it?
There was a tiny bit in this one. Tiny bit.
Shout out to G-Fan Black. I was listening to a bunch of G-Fan Black today, and he had a line. He said the cocaine's white as John Havlicek, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. What a great.
Brockton represent.
Just so I can reiterate too, though, I do love my coke rap. Don't get me wrong, I love my coke rap. Just to be clear, I'm back producing for coke rappers as we speak. So it's just more like this was a nice little change of pace, you know.
I love it. I love all of it. Yeah, I need all the food groups, you know.
That's it, man.
But yeah, no, that's awesome, and especially Flue, what was it like? Because like I was during this process, like I was talking to these guys before we started, that Tali Rodriguez was really the one who was like, you know, weirding me out here because I'm very familiar with Flue, I'm very familiar with Kofa, but like I felt Tali felt like it was part of an Edgar Allan Poe story. He was everywhere I went, you know. He mixed it, He produced it. You know, he
Mhm.
was rapping on it. You know, he was on a TV show I was watching. I couldn't get away from Tali Rodriguez. I was so working with someone like that, with the ability to hear the song from all these different perspectives. How does that change your job? How does that influence what you do?
Well, I mean, in one thing, it was like utmost professionalism, man. Like it was actually nice to sort of be able to like do my pit and then handball it off to someone who knows how to mix and knows what sounds good. Like that's always a nice bonus too. I got to actually get more creative, but then let him handle some of the other sonic stuff instead of me tinkering there for months on end. And yeah, like he knows. Like I've worked with dudes who still don't even know how to export verses in time. Like I'm not even joking. Like they'll send me some fucking nonsense type fucking recording sessions, and I'm like, what am I meant to do with this? Like, oh, can't you just line all my stuff up? It's like, man, like these guys straight pro. Again, it just allowed me to do me with no stress. Like there was just no stress to it, you know. Like I overthink shit all the time, like any artist does or anyone that's in this game, and it will drive you insane. But at least there was a little bit less insanity this time. So yeah, again, they just know what they're doing. He's got a good ear, and yeah, just even having them send their shit back on time was a nice bonus. Then without dropping names, some artists, man, it's like, how are you an MC and you don't know how to do the basic shit on your DAWs, you know? So yeah, but anyway, that's a topic for another day. But yeah, no, it was awesome, man.
But no, that's, I mean, in Tali, the question would be like, were you like, because Flue, like you said, takes his time with it, overstudies sometimes. Sankofa is this kind of juggernaut, perpetual force. Are you in the middle? Are you negotiating between these two sides?
Yeah, I guess so, right? But I always feel like I'm that, because like even in Knuckle Draggers, that's what I'm wearing right now, right? Like it's 6 of us, but there's like 3 of us that are rapping, right? And yeah, G-Fam Black, like how am I even going to be on the same song with him and make it sound like it's like it makes any sense, right? And then P-Rose, like, I don't even know what you would I don't know. He's like the realest, most grimy, tough, smart like rapper I think there is. I'm not even fucking around. Like seriously, he's so good and he's so genuine. And like when he talks and you hear him rap, like it sounds very. A lot of people don't sound like they mean what they're saying. I think I probably struggle with that a little bit. He always sounds like what he's saying is exactly what he means, and there's nothing in between. And then there's me, and so I've got to find my little like spot in between these two ridiculously powerful forces. But that's actually where I want to be. I kind of prefer to be there. I kind of prefer to be in the, I don't necessarily need to be the person in the front. I don't need to be the person that's the loudest. Like I prefer to kind of do a lot of the background stuff and then just sort of poke my head in here and there and then surprise people like, oh, I didn't know you did that. Oh, I didn't know you did that. Like good, perfectly. I didn't want you to probably, except for every once in a while when I drop something. And other than that, like I'm kind of cool with my position on it. So, I mean, I didn't view this project at all, anything like that, just because all I knew is I had to live up to Kofa, like the lyrics, the delivery, the presence, or whatever. I had to somehow raise my level to there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew Flue is just wild because I'd already been mixing his beats and stuff, and all this stuff. So I can't let that end of it down either. So really, it's just like positive pressure at that point. It wasn't anything negative or weird. It just felt good, and because I knew I could do it. You know, I knew it would happen, but. You know, I'm a little bit externally motivated sometimes. So sometimes I need a little bit of like a kick or something or a push. And then once I get it, I usually make it happen. But
that's awesome. You're like, you basically like, this is a great dish anyway, but I'm the condiment that takes it to the next level. You know, I'm like
Ziki sauce.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Yeah, it was great to have Flue, man. Flue is such a cool individual. Yeah, I was so glad.
He's such a character.
Can I just interject something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was looking it up earlier. There are a couple people we're sleeping on this team.
Raja Bell.
Raja Bell.
Ooh, Raja Bell.
Brian Grant.
You must be looking at the same one I am. Brian Grant.
Yep.
I think G-Fam's probably the Kurt Thomas.
Ooh,
on this album. About Kurt. Oh man.
I think he'd be a
Texas,
good.
what was it? Texas Christian, Horned Frogs. He led the nation in rebounding and scoring.
Yep.
Yeah, he was
And
tough.
that's not disrespect either. I mean, just you're doing a collab on a person's album, you can't be Amari Stoudemire. But
No, I'm with you. Like I think, yeah, he'd also be a damn good Raja Bell because Raja Bell was ready for anything.
Oh yeah, as Kobe well knew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why Kobe wanted him. Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's. Thank you for bringing that back, Tally. The '06 Phoenix Suns are going to be, the spirit animal of this podcast. So we're going to keep that move. But yeah, Kay, what were your thoughts hearing TFK, and how did it feel to you in your experience?
I mean, I liked, because I started, like, the projects that I started with like the Multitudes and then the Iron Kofa Sharp.
Yeah.
Those were the two I listened to before TFK. So when I got into TFK, I really liked the collaboration between two. It seems like that's why I mentioned the chemistry, because I feel like all three of you were on, the same page regarding things.
Yeah.
And I liked the diversity of the sounds as well.
Yeah. No, it's the diversity sounds is really good. I don't think I know what this album is about. But I think that comes with time. Like I think that's one of the things as a listener, people might not know about concept albums is they kind of want to listen to it and know what it's about right off the bat. And you're like, no, man, you got to earn that.
Yeah, Tali and I were texting, was it earlier today?
I mean,
and we were saying
most recently.
Yeah. Like, how much of this do we want to reveal rather than let the listener, experience and draw their own conclusions? I mean, we definitely have a vision.
Right.
Flue, Tali, myself, we have a vision of what this is. But ultimately, when we release this art, then it is open to the interpretation of whoever listens. And I mean, they may have some really cool theories that make more sense than ours do.
Right.
But we definitely came at it from a particular direction, thanks to those synopses and thanks to our collaboration.
But organically, not even on purpose.
Yeah, I know. And that's the most beautiful thing about this.
Right.
Is like, if you ask, like, as John Doe will attest, my silversmith friend / brother, he loves concept songs. I can't do concept songs. It feels like I'm forcing it.
Right.
And for this to be like a concept project, I go like, dude, you won't believe this. It's not with you, but it's with someone else. Right. And I did a concept album.
But you couldn't have known that going in, or else it wouldn't have happened.
That would have spoiled the whole thing. Because then it wouldn't have been as pure a journey to get to where we got to. And where we got to is something that's so dope. Like, I usually only press up like 50 copies of my stuff. But Flue's like, hey, man, I can move, da-da-da-da. So, like, this time, I ordered 100 tapes. And the reason it's taking longer, and I will fall on this sword, is this project means so much to me that first, Dano, I reached out to you because I saw you had that tweet like, hey, if anyone has a project they want to come talk, I was like, this is the one. Like, I work on tons and tons and tons of stuff. I literally have 30-something projects coming up.
Yep.
This one, I'm like, I want to make sure this one, like, I see other rappers in the sphere, like, they get on podcasts or whatever. Yep. I want to make sure it's on podcasts. And it's because it's not just a solo project. This is not me. There's a reason K is at the end of this, because Kofa is at the end of this. It's Tali, Flue, Kofa. And that's by design, because it's all of us. And that's why I got goosebumps right now. That's why I'm pushing for this. That's why we did 100, because it is us. And this goes back to the community aspect. Like, I believe in myself. I know I'm dope. You say I'm dope? Thank you. Cool. Whatever. I know I'm dope. But for us to build something and for it to be something beyond what any of us individually would create, and to recognize that, that's TFK, man. That's us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. No, and you're right. I came to you, Kofa, and said you're releasing a lot of projects. You're on a roll. You pick your favorite, and I'll book you on that. Like,
and it wasn't going to be a solo. There's no way. Flue says he's terrible at self promotion. I feel like a cornball talking about me. That's why we're here now, because I'm able to be beyond myself because I am part of a group. This is TFK. This is not a solo project.
So let me ask you, what is it like for both of you, Tali and Kofa? What is it about this project that is unique to us? Like, what is it about this project that you feel like people have to listen to it?
S- Nobody has to listen to anything, but you're like doing yourself probably a disservice if you don't. It's like, okay, people tell you, like, oh yeah, this is really cool. You should check this out. This is going to be great. And you listen to it, and you're like, yeah, this is really good. Like, it's good music, good for them. It's not really so much like whatever the effort was we put into it. It's not the like who we are as individuals or anything like that. To me, it's more like I haven't look, I don't listen to a lot. Most of what I listen to is what I'm mixing for people, and so I don't get a chance to like reach out a lot. So maybe there's a bunch of these floating around somewhere I don't know about, but I don't really know that many albums in a long time that are. It's kind of like a little movie. It's kind of like a series of little shorts. It's I don't know. It's like going to some who's the big thing like Cal UCLA film school or something. Like there's movement to it. There's a depth to it. Not the words and the lyrics like we're smart and we rap good, but like just the whole overall like aesthetic and vibe of the project is each song has its own little vibe to it. It's got like a texture to it. That's why I tell Flue, I'm like, it's got a texture, like these things that you put in there or the way it sounds like it's not just like a flat sound hitting you. Some of it's hitting you over here, some of it's over here, some of it's over here, some of it's like in front of you, some of it's behind you, some of it's singing, some of it's rapid fire rapping, some of it is dark, some of it is light, some of it is funny, some of it, there's like a lot of things being sort of grabbed from a whole bunch of different directions and put into one thing, and it's coherent and it's incoherent perfectly. Like it's exactly like it landed exactly where I could have, like in my wildest dreams, hope it would have landed. Like what it turned out to be was not what we had set to do with a plan, but we kind of knew that's what it would be if it worked out. That was always my dream in the beginning. I'm like, if look at these three people together, like me knowing what I can do, knowing what Sankofa can do, knowing what Flue can do, and we can actually somehow tap into each of the best of us and make it sound like it actually like sound like a group. Sound like you said, like it's not, it doesn't just sound like three people or two people rapping on some stuff with somebody doing a beat, but actually sound like something we must have spent a bunch of time together trying to figure out and plan all these things. That's perfect. That's exactly what I would have hoped it would have been. I think that's what people are going to hear. It sounds different.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just a lot to it. And there's also a lot of hope and there's a lot of space for interpretation. There's a lot of,
very much so.
But it's not so vague that it's annoying either. You know what I mean? I don't think. Like, I don't find it to be like, oh, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's just like you think you're right on it, but you're not quite sure. And I don't think that's a bad place to be when it comes to music, art. I don't know, anything. Like, just kind of lead them just a certain level, but then they've got to figure out what the rest of this is going to do and how it's going to make sense to them.
Yeah.
Kofa, do you care to? Sorry.
Basically, this is the alchemy of life. You've got all these disparate elements that come together to create something otherwise unforeseen. Like, I don't know about you guys, but every once in a while in my life, I'll pause for a moment and I'll realize everything is just the way it needs to be. It may not be for very long, but it's for that moment where I'm able to recognize that things are in harmony, whether I'm in harmony with everything else or it's whatever the case may be. And that's what this feels like creatively. I mean, there was a song where I rapped on the hook and Flue's like, that's not going to work, or because you rap right after that.
Right.
And it's being open to the collaboration and not having the ego attached to it. I'm like, this is a big picture thing. And the big picture is we are working together to create this. Yep. I am not looking to make my stamp. I don't need to leave my name somewhere. I need to make this, and I need to make this as good as I can. And that means I need to listen to people who know things I don't know, which is how things like this come to be. So that would be my answer. And like Tali said, people don't need to listen to it. You can drag horses to water. Doesn't matter how thirsty they are. They're going to go for whatever beverage they prefer or prefer not to. If they find it and it means something to them, dope. I am thankful, and we had conversations about this, Tali, Flue, and I, about this project. What success is to each of us. Success is to me, we made this album and it is dope.
Yep.
I had fun making it. I made it with good people, and that's it.
So when do you anticipate this being released?
Well, it's predicated on the physicals because of the tapes. And because it was 100 tapes that I ordered, I wanted to make sure we had a test tape. So I had to get a test tape, make sure it played through fine. Now, the shipping date for the tapes is the 11th of September. And if I do not get a tracking number from Canada by then, I will contact them and they'll put it up to the front of the list. I want this. There's the balance of the enthusiasm for the project and wanting people to hear it, and then trying to balance that with the need to make sure people know it.
Yeah.
I can't just, like, this is not going to be a tree in a forest falling down.
Right.
After we have spent our lives growing this tree. And I feel like we put so much of our lives into this tree. I want to make sure people know that tree is there.
Do you think the pre-orders will be up before the end of the month, or is that too soon?
Well, I don't think that's too soon at all.
Okay.
I mean, Flue's itching to put it out.
Now keep in mind, I want to make sure that, like, this is not something Tali and Flue and I have discussed.
Sure.
Just like with teamwork, I feel it's very important for us to be all on the same page, not for it to be a majority, for us all to be on the same page. But it would not surprise me, but I can't give you an official word, as that is not something we have discussed, and I feel it's super important to all be on that same page.
Yeah, I just wanted to ballpark and see what.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tali brought up a great point. We're talking about texture, and you think that when a project goes right, there's kind of a texture domino effect, where, like, the Flue creates a beat that is a texture that hits you, Kofa, and you feel that, and that texture resonates with you in a different way. You bless it, then you hand it, and Tali sees that texture. You're all seeing variations, but you're all seeing variations on the same maybe color, right? And so you're all shooting within the same range, and so that means that what comes out in the end is unified, but it wasn't even intended to be unified. It was minds working, based on this texture that kind of fell into place. Does that make sense as a description of how things like TFK go right?
Yeah, yes, for sure. And I'm sitting here in my brain, I'm like, I want to write this down because I know I'll forget it, but like to tie that into what I couldn't quite get to before, I think like the coolest thing about it is anybody who knows any of the three of us or is at all familiar with our stuff or has known us longer will hear what they like about us in this, but then they will also hear things that we're doing that maybe we don't normally do.
Great point.
But they still like it. It's like anybody I've shown to, they're like, I didn't know you did that, or I didn't know you could. Can you do one of those for me, or something like? Because I don't sing, I don't usually do any of that shit. But like, so a friend, I'll shout him, like Feral Surge from Certain Ones. We did a collab on an album I did, and he just sung the hook, and I'm like, we're allowed to sing the hook too, like it was very like soulful and very whatever. I'm like, shit, if I could somehow integrate that into what I'm doing, and then when I'm hearing the beats and stuff, that's something I would never do in a million years. So when I showed it to my friends and stuff, they're like, where the fuck, like, where has this been? I didn't know this was even like part of this, right? So like they're getting some new part of me and something they're familiar with as well. And I'm assuming Sankofa is the same way. It's like, and it's probably the same with Flue fans who like are expecting it to sound a certain way. When they hear this, they're like, wow, what the hell is that? But I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. It's like, because it made him stretch a little bit too, and he had more room to work with, I feel like, as opposed to like some stuff where you're really trying to fit really specifically and neatly into a particular genre or whatever.
How would you say that you guys like stretch each other's ability?
Well, I gotta try really hard lyrically, so there's that. I'm like that's I mean I'm sitting here like I got this wordsmith, the person who's like a poet rhyming, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm that. I feel like I'm much more like I don't know, like the person going around telling people the news or something, and I can do it good, but I'm not doing it in like with flair the same sort of way, at least traditionally. And so I reached, I kind of broke some of those things that I would normally not do because he's on there and I want it to work. I want it to make sense. And I'm assuming there's probably something on Kofa side of it. But.
Well, I mean, when Tali came to me, because without him, this project does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, working with Flue and then reaching out to Flue about this project and then reaching out to me asking if I'd be down to do it, it doesn't happen without him.
Sure.
So it's not even stretching. It's like Tali was my alarm clock that woke me up before I even got to stretching.
Yeah.
And then I got the beats, and I understand to use the parlance, I understand the assignment.
Yeah.
The assignment is to just like, I can fall back into my bag of tricks. It's easy. I got tons of tricks. I got tons of bags, tons of pockets, whatever. That's not this. This has to be something different. This has to be something unique. And understanding full well that Flue was sending us skeletons. Now, when I say he's sending us skeletons, these are skeletons other people would hear and be like, damn, that song's dope. And he hears it and he's like, no, I don't want anyone to hear this, because he's that much a perfectionist. So I want to make sure that I'm laying down something that he in turn will go back to and be able to tinker before he sends it to Tali. So just knowing that Tali asked me to do this and I don't want to let him down, and I know that Flue does his thing, so I want to make sure to provide the soundscape because he doesn't know me.
Right.
Tali knows me. He's mixed my projects for a while now.
And like he said, Flue doesn't really know me. It's like he knows me from mixing,
right.
but nobody knows me because I don't do that much. I don't put much out. But go ahead, sorry.
No. So the opportunity to do something like this, and then and this isn't even about how we stretch each other, but going back to Tali singing, like on the first song, it reminds me of Mike Muir on Lights, Camera, Revolution when he's singing alone. Like the harmonizing he does, I'm like, man, that reminds me of back when I had the Suicidal Tendencies tape, like back in high school, like listening to Mike Muir, and like, dang, like I know Tali plays instruments. I know he can do a whole bunch of different things, but to hear him sound what reminded me of Mike Muir, from Lights, Camera, Revolution or whatever, I was like, man, this is super cool.
Yeah.
And just the direction we wouldn't usually go.
Yeah, when you have someone that's talented in so many different areas to kind of just back your play wherever you go, that's pretty fucking cool. It's very interesting because when you were talking about Kofa, you're like, I have to lay something so dope that it gets better once Flue, like it improves upon it, right? Once Flue juices this thing up, like I want it's going to sound even better, so I have to elevate to and rap on the final level, even though the beat is not on the final level.
Yeah.
Unless you want to record again, which I did a couple times.
Yeah.
After I heard what he did, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to need to redo that to make it, because he just did me a lot of justice that maybe I didn't do the first time. So let me go back and really make his thing pop, because he'll drop this thing here, this one little 4-bar section at the beginning of whatever the song was. It's like that thing sounds great. I don't know how he got that out of what I did, but now I want to make it even better by redoing it, which a lot of people are weird. They don't want to redo anything. As soon as they're done, and that's it.
Yeah. You want to be durable, and that's definitely we guys. There's a song that stands out that for me really helped like identify this project and what it was. She Keeps Singing. Track 3. That was like, ooh, this thing's gonna go in lots of different directions, and like Kofa's like talking to the sample, and it was just really cool how that was thought out, And talk to me about that song and how that came together.
We're at the fascinating dilemma of trying not to.
You got to give him something. Go ahead. Just say it.
All right.
Like I got the sentence if you want me to read it.
Yeah, read the sentence, man.
This is the sentence Kofa gave me.
Because I don't remember.
A hitman trying and failing to drown his sorrows.
Ooh, let's go. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah,
is that what you thought it was?
I don't know. I mean, I knew something was going on. I was catching some of these references, and maybe that was one of the songs where I was like, "These are character stories. Like this is not, not autobiographical."
No,
but,
this is Saul Bellows.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I thought it was the sample was dope. The way it was connected was dope. G-Fam Black was great.
Oh, he
that might have been real. We're not sure, but
he is so good, and like his turnaround is preposterous.
Yeah,
like the time in which it takes him to get something right and record it and get it back, phenomenal, and that's coming from me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I also loved Kofa on Plebeian's Bargain. I thought that was great work. Yeah, it was. Yeah, any standout songs for UK amongst this?
Oh, I don't have the track. I got to get the track list in front of me. I thought it was. I like that you guys, all three of you, used the word vibe.
Yeah.
It was just a good. I thought like the vibe, and you like those albums that just like flow, and the vibe, like it doesn't. The trance doesn't break.
Right.
You know, because you can have a good album, but if you have that one song where like it just is out of place or it's not in the right spot, the trance breaks. So I thought it was really well sequenced, and it was just a good vibe all the way.
Flue.
Yeah.
Flue was responsible for the sequence for the most part. I gave him a sequence, and then he adjusted the sequence, and then it was like, yep, there we go. We'll just go with that and it was clearly correct.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And if I may, in regards to the vibe and not wanting to break that vibe, there was another song that we had recorded for this album. And when speaking earlier, we were talking about random people collaborating in puzzle pieces. Like this sounded like something from the Firm album.
Oh wow.
The beat did.
Yeah. So the beat did, and that was the one which did not make the album. And again, it's going back to that idea of what do you want to do here? What we want to do is make something, build something. And what's the big picture? Is the big picture holding on to my hook? Is the big picture holding on to this song? Song doesn't fit? Fine. And so that could have broken the vibe. Was it Flue who said that?
So, I mean, it was me too. I had that was the one that I waited to the very end. I was having trouble with the beat. I was having trouble with, like, I liked what you did, but I was having trouble taking the one sentence and turning it into something. And I did eventually. I don't think it really, I think in and of itself, it's a cool verse, but I don't think it really fits at all what you said.
Right.
But it probably still would have been a decent song. But I really do think that if we had stuck that in any order in between any of those songs, beginning, end, or anywhere through, it would have sucked. It would have just ruined it. Like it really would have. And so maybe we'll address it later. Maybe we'll do another one and we'll do that song somewhere else. Maybe we just split it up and I'll do that verse on something else, or maybe none of that ever gets heard. But
yeah,
I'll be fine. I'll be fine whatever way.
It was only supposed to be like 4 songs in the beginning. It wasn't meant to be like some big gigantic thing. I thought it was just gonna be like a few songs and it was gonna be like a cool thing to do. And then Flue's like, "Hey, I want to do some more. You want to do some more?" And I'm like,
"Yeah,
I'll do as many as you want to do." Like,
and that frequently is an issue with me too. I will convince someone to do like 2, 3, 4 songs, and the next thing you know, we got like 12.
Yeah. I mean, and that's when Tali was talking about the like we're having to rap next year. I totally understood because I think it's like you're a ready to go MC, like turn on the power. I'm ready to go. Let's go, and that can be intimidating to people because everybody has their own process of when they're doing what they're doing. So like you're like, oh, I have to live up to that. But the finished product, what I was going to say about the finished product is, and this is my sales pitch on TFK, right? 1159. is we determined that I was in a poetry class at the University of Southern Maine. We were talking about great poetry, and I said, I don't think I've ever loved a poem that I understood the first time. I don't think I've
I'm
ever.
writing that down.
I don't think I've ever.
Yeah,
really
go ahead and write
loved,
down.
I don't think I've ever really loved it. Like like, oh, okay, that's cool. The poems that I love the most confused the shit out of me the first time, and the more I read them, the more I understood the nooks and crannies. I understood. I started to see places I couldn't see. I mean, this is what it is being a Ka fan, by the way. This is how it is being a Ka fan. So TFK still affords you this with great beats, great hooks, fun samples, great guest stars. You won't have to figure it out the first time to enjoy it, but you won't know what everything is the first time, and you'll want to keep coming back, and you'll want to keep catching more elements to get what it is. And that's
I hope it never matters.
a lot of people that listen to underground rap music love that shit. Love that shit, you know? Yeah.
So do you guys have any advice for, let's say that, two people or even three people are looking to collaborate on a project. What would be the advice that you would give like first time collaborators to make something, not only maybe have a smooth process, but, make something that is significant to everyone involved?
Listen to the other people. Have conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no one who is the boss.
Right. Which makes it so much easier.
Right. I mean, ultimately, there are times when decisions need to be made.
Sure.
But like I referred to earlier, I would much rather things be unanimous than majority. Because if we all believe in it, then that means we all think it's dope.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something along the lines of it's gonna sound so corny, but it's like be giving of yourself, like allow yourself to like take in what these other people are saying about whatever it happens to be. Don't be the asshole that like, it's like, yeah, it's the greatest thing ever. No, it wasn't. Redeem their comment. You know what I mean? Like just all this, like these are things you learn in therapy, right? It's like somebody says something to you, don't just shit on it. Like, okay, this person said it, I'm gonna take it at face value. And then if they said something, so if you're gonna take that at face value, the compliment at face value, you got to take the criticism at face value as well, or else like, what are you doing? You can't have, like, I'm just gonna listen to the good shit and not listen to the bad stuff. So like, if you want to be good, it just as an individual, take the good and the bad and make some sense out of it, synthesize it and do something with it. If you're in a group, same thing, it's maybe more complicated because maybe some of them think one thing, some other people think another thing. So here's my second piece of advice: make it odd numbers. So just make sure your group is odd numbers no matter what it is. So if it's like 5, then okay, well 3 are going to think something, and if it's a yes or no situation, and then the other 2 just have to deal with it, right? I hear stories of that all the time where
Ooh, I like that, man.
it really
like
is the majority. And some people don't want to put that stuff out, but you know what? 3 of us said we're going to do it, so we're going to do it. And you have to be willing in those circumstances to trust them as well, because they're trusting you in other situations. And if you can't do that, then like you really shouldn't be doing the project.
Yeah. No, that's, I mean, the power of collaboration is important. One of my favorite filmmakers, Kay, because I'm just an incredibly old person, is Billy Wilder, who did Double Indemnity and Some Like It Hot and in the Hole and all this, Lost Weekend, and he rarely ever wrote alone. He always had a partner, and sometimes it was somebody he liked to annoy. It's like it wasn't always somebody that had a beautiful relationship with him. Being annoyed by someone can be inspirational. It really can be. So, yeah, the tectonics of relationships are important. All that stuff. So
don't be offended.
Right.
Yeah.
Just take it.
Yeah. I mean, big picture. What is your goal? Is your goal to do something together, or is your goal to put your stamp on it? If you want to put your stamp on it, go do your own thing. Why are you with these other people? If you think you're that dope and you don't need them, then why are you there? You're wasting their time. I'm too old to be wasting my time or anyone else's time.
Right. I'm with you. Absolutely. The Kay, do you have anything more, or do you want to go to recommend?
No, that was great.
Woo, we're doing it. So first, I want to get into the G-Fan Black because I listened to 3 G-Fan Black albums today.
Man, that's a lot of bass.
Can I ask which ones, just out of curiosity?
Absolutely. Brockton's Own,
Yes.
Lock and Load, with G-Fan Black and Low Gun, and Black Cinema, which I think
Those
you
are good.
produced on all of them. I'm not sure.
No, so Dusty Cinema produced that last one, but so it's just him rapping and Dusty Cinema doing the production. But yeah,
I loved. I mean, all of them were great, but Black Cinema was real dope, and that's the newest one. That's the one I would recommend. I think it's really cool.
second to newest, by the way. He has a new one. It's called Pazuzu. If you look it up with the Heretic and Heretic.
Yeah.
I don't know the names off the top of my head. I'm bad at that type of thing, but like it's really good. It's really good. They put a lot of time and a lot of effort into
How
it.
do you spell this? Is it
It's Pazuzu, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And just look up like the Heretic beats. Look up I don't know, whatever. You can look it up later. But you'll see it when you see it. It's the last thing he just put out. It's really like well done,
easy?
like high level shit.
He's everywhere. G-Fan Black. I gotta check that shit, man. He's fun as shit, Kay. He is absolutely a Massachusetts rapper. You know, Massachusetts rappers are hard as fucking nails. And he could step tomorrow and rap next to SD Knack, and it would sound like it should have always been there. So that's, yeah, shout out to him.
The Plague Magician is the other guy. I couldn't remember. Like Heretic Beats and the Plague Magician. That's the
good deal. Pazuzu. I'm gonna find it. So the other thing, let me go. Of course, so this is for Kay, because I don't think Kay knows, but Def C and Messiah Music are putting out another album, and it's a soundtrack to a book.
Yeah, I just pre-ordered it.
I did too. It's The Golem of Brooklyn, and so it's a book, like I think about like Jewish history, and it's so fucking cool that he's going to do the soundtrack for it. And my wife was like, a soundtrack for a book? I'm like,
yeah,
like it happens in hip hop all the time.
Why not?
Donald Goines, did you ever hear that one, Kofa?
No.
Donald Goines has a hip hop soundtrack to one of his books.
Okay.
Black Gangster, original soundtrack. And Jay-Z's on it, and DMX is on it.
Wow.
They did it, yeah. So they were trying to make a run for Donald Goines, because Black Gangster is like his biggest thing. Like Donald Goines always wanted to make movies, like to make his stuff in the movies, but he was on heroin in jail, so there wasn't a lot of opportunity. So but yeah, hip hop made a soundtrack to this book, and it's fucking great. So this is not the first soundtrack to a book in hip hop, which is one of many reasons to love hip hop. But that be my second official. Oh, let me throw an extra tidbit, because I just fucking love Trey. Trey's so cool. Trey Does, who's been on this show and will be on it again, released a 2-pack of songs called Rap Shit 4 Special Edition. One of the songs is a remix, a Small Professor remix of Karmaloo. Oh, it's fucking great. It's fucking great. Small Professor continues to be one of my very favorite rappers in the world. Sorry, producers in the world.
Producers, yeah.
Yeah, producers in the world. Because he just makes everything sound so fucking nice. The Pete Rock 2.0 kind of thing. So that'll be my recommendations. I'll keep it there. Tali, what are you listening to?
If I tell you what I'm really listening to, it's going to be all self-serving shit, because
whatever.
All I listen to is what I'm mixing. I'm mixing 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 things at the same time. So I've always got some project going on. I will do this, but I will do it for my friend Mike. We
Yep.
just did an album. We just dropped an album called The New Gods 2. And if you go find it somewhere, it looks something like that. It's got a shitload of extremely talented people on it, including Sankofa, including GFAM, including everybody, most of the people at least on this album. Produced by me, but Mike Titan, he's the guy. It's just look up Mike Titan anywhere and hopefully you get the right one, because you know sometimes there's like some other
M-I-K-E.
weird shit. But yeah, MIKE, like look up That Dude Spits. If you
It's a
just look
great
that up,
cover. It's a great
he
cover.
is.
Yeah,
He does
like-
all the art too. So he is absolutely insane lyricist from the Bronx. He's like a really good friend. I've met him a couple years ago, and we've same sort of time frame that I met Sankofa. Exact same type of person, like a teacher. Also, you know, like just cares greatly about the craft and about like putting out really good things, and has a really high standard for like, you know, whatever, just like in a really cool style. I mean, it's just like he's got a, if you like listening to stuff more than once, like he's the guy to listen to, because you kind of got to listen to it a few times before every little tiny nuance of what he's saying does. That shit is awesome, and everybody who's on that album did like great.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's my recommendation. Go find New Guys, but don't do it because I told you to, because I produced it. Do it because Mike deserves it. Like
Don't
that
feel
shit is
bad
fucking crazy.
about doing this. People need to know this stuff.
And he's got other albums that don't have anything to do with me. Go listen to those first. Trust me, they're fine. They're good too.
Good deal. I love that.
And
So-
Pazuzu for GFAM, and Black Ketchup 3 for Sankofa, and now we're just going into shout outs. So
Yeah.
And handwriting on the wall from P-Roll.
handwriting on the wall from P-Roll, my friend. I'm so sorry. Handwriting on the wall from P-Roll.
I gotta check that. Yeah. There's
No one.
this click is deep.
Oh yeah. If basically if you start from Tali, and like back in the day, like reading liner notes and like reading shout outs, that's how I would find like, oh, I see this tape, I'm gonna buy that one. Look at Tali and trace out from there, and it's not even like a family tree, it's like a giant orchard, and you will go many amazing places. You know, he's kind of like the parallel to like Zilla Rocka, because you know how like Zilla Rock is like this conduit and connects to so many others. Tali's the same way.
By the way, if you look up handwriting on the wall, you're on Bandcamp. You get two. You get P-Row, but you also get Ann Peebles, who did the You Can't Stand the Rain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she's got an album called Handwriting. The Handwriting's on the Wall. Handwriting on the Wall. I think, you know what? Buy both, compare and contrast. You know what I mean?
There you go, man.
Find a lot of similar streams of thought, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. So Kofa, would you have any other official recommendations here?
I'm basically looking at what I picked up off of Bandcamp, because Bandcamp Friday is like I built up my wish list.
That's a good point. Let me go look at it.
So Mike Titan already said, Quintessential, El Olvidado. That was produced by Chill to God.
We actually buy things.
Yeah.
And support
So
artists.
soon. Flesh Mother, a metal band released a while ago, an album called Perverse. Love that. Hughes Williams and Vanderslice. Welcome to the Real. Squeegee Oblong, Tan Face. Handwriting on the Wall. Noah 23's 223.
Oh no, it's had a great year. Oh my god.
Yeah. I'll just agree with you there. Sko, Clay Pigeons, and Pavo and Bernd Bacharach did Eyes of Ice. And what's really cool is like Pavo's like this dark rapper with like lots of macabre references, right? But Bernd Bacharach is got this real bouncy production. And it's really cool because this time Pavo stretched, and he was like, his concern was that it wouldn't be representative of him, but it just made him even doper.
Yeah.
So Eyes of Ice.
By the way, Eyes of Ice cover is amazing. Everybody should check it out. It's fucking cool. I'm putting all these on my wish list.
Can I give you a sleeper real quick? Because I'm gonna feel like an asshole if I don't.
Hit me.
Look up Money Mowgli, a lone wolf. Money Mowgli, a lone wolf. Two words. Money Mowgli.
Isn't Money Mowgli I'm pretty sure when I zoomed in on Mighty Healthy's like board where he had all those Post-it notes, I think I saw his name on there. I know I saw Def C's name on there.
Who was this?
His name's Money Mowgli. Just type in Money
Yeah, no, I got that.
Space Mowgli.
What are you
He's
talking
a rap. He's just a guy I know from Miami, and he hits all the right notes. He's like masterful. He makes these amazing, like he just put out an album a couple months ago, and it's like almost 80 minutes long. Like nobody does anymore, but it's like it's worth listening to like the entire time. He can do like stuff that anybody from anywhere likes. He can do the party stuff. He can do the hard stuff. Like he's such a cool dude anyway in general. Like just please check him out because he was definitely chronically slept on.
Already found it. Okay. So
you'll listen to 5 minutes, you'll be like, oh yeah, this guy's fucking dope. Like he's got a nice spirit, good soul.
It's awesome. This is great, Kay. We got a lot of homework. Kay, Kay always has the same recommendation every week.
What is it?
It's always abstinence. Yes, we get it. We support you, your chest. But yeah, so what do you have any other recommendations?
No, abstinence. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Never go wrong with abstinence.
Can't go wrong if you don't go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Just don't go.
Don't go. Yeah. No, but winning. I watched some Winning Time. I'm still not comfortable with Jerry West and the way they portray Jerry West.
I know it's got to be driving him crazy too. It seems like they've toned it down just a slight bit from the first season, but I know it's driving him crazy.
The first season, he was like Nicholson's Joker. You know, it was fucking bananas. And like it's still a lot. It's still a lot. And but Adrian Brody is Pat Riley is so good.
So good.
I'm still debating whether I feel about how I feel about that. But I finished Molly's Game, the book Molly's Game. That was awesome. Really cool. Just to read about somebody who lucked into all these insane situations and took them as far as possible. Like
that's the movie Jessica Chastain was in, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The real Molly Bloom. Yeah, she was awesome. The book is great. And now I'm reading American Gods graphic novel, the Neil Gaiman thing. I'm into that. So yeah. The books. Join the Patreon. I'll give you book recommendations. We're getting new people, you know. I was in the car playing, you know, somebody was like, play me some music in the car, played him some cool shit, Rich Jones, you know, Slumber Logic, and he was like, wow, guy's a patron. So that's all, you know, put me in the room, I'll get it. Yeah, you get all the recommendations. Very few podcasts doing full podcasts on albums that are not out yet. That's what we do. Yeah, but this was incredible, and you've given me the book to follow the gang, you know, so that I can stay in touch and you know, rep these people as they progress and get better. So thank you for all that. Sankofa, for any parting words, swear words for the audience?
No. Yes. Abstinence. Go nowhere.
Go nowhere.
Go nowhere. And go well. Nowhere.
Netflix and chill by yourself.
Tomorrow.